Here we are, episode 42 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. That's right, we are into the new year. Ode to Jackie Robinson, number 42. Greatest baseball players and one of the best Americans ever. Nothing to do with trash, but we got to give a shout out when it's deserved. So you've come, you found us, here we are. We talk about the junk removal industry, demo, deconstruction. If someone has something, a good idea, a building, a piano in the basement, we're the guys that make it go away. And if you're listening to this podcast, it's probably because you want to get out, scale up the business you're in so that you can build the life you want. As always, I'm Andy Weins, hailing from the great state of Wisconsin, this city of beer, the good land, Milwaukee, and I'm joined by my good buddy and compatriot, Casey Bubba Lawrence, hailing from Big D, Dallas, Texas. Casey, what are we talking about today?
First, we're going to talk about how to increase your reach with intros whenever you're speaking, and how to make sure when you have a long introduction like that with a shitty basis like Wisconsin, the state of beer.
I was going to say, you sounded for a second there like you actually had thought about something, because normally you're just like, I don't know what we're talking about. We got a guest.
No.
Let's go to the guest.
All right.
That's normally that's the whole shebang. Taylor's
so today we have a guest.
I'm already for the 4 people that watch us online. Most people listen. Taylor just moved my camera, so I was in the frame because I was holding my cup of coffee, which is, inherently more important.
It is. So today we actually have a great guest. It's Demi Smith with Height Digital Media. We actually had the pleasure of meeting her and her team at JunkCon, and they actually specialize in junk removal companies. So with that being said, Demi, take it away. Kind of give us a little intro yourself. Hopefully it's not as long as Andy's, but more interesting.
No, absolutely. Thank you guys both for having me on. I'm super excited for the opportunity, and it was great meeting you guys at JunkCon. I've been following all of your content, everything that you've got going on. So that is all great. But yeah, I'm the director of client success at Height Digital. So we're a full service digital marketing agency. We do anything from logo design and branding to SEO, paid ads on Google, Facebook, Instagram, all fun things like that. Specializing in the home service-based industry, so junk removal, roofing, contracting, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, you know what? Here's the deal. I like this. 42 episodes in, a lot of the feedback we get, or a lot of the questions, and also a lot of the, I track, I'm all about them KPIs, and a lot of what I track as far as which episodes slap the hardest have a lot to do with the front end, which is sales or marketing and sales. I'm very particular. Marketing first and sales. Because a lot of time it's like, it's sales and marketing. Well, no, right? When you put an and, that means there's two things, right? And you have these two pillars that certainly they're both important, but they're not so interconnected. So I'm really excited to have a marketing professional on board, especially someone that like where your background is. It's home services, independent owner operators. I watch a lot of, actually I was watching an episode of Shark Tank earlier today, or a clip during lunch. And it was a couple of people that worked for, big, like Fortune 500 companies, the Procter and Gamble's of the world. And then they started a business. And it's like, well, you can't spend this much money and time on marketing when you don't have the dollars, right? They had a 70% of every dollar that came in went towards marketing, right? And it's like, when you're a huge company building a brand, you got deep pockets, you can do that. Right, your widget costs 50 cents. You sell it for $10. It costs you $7 customer acquisition. In junk removal, but if you have a greater than 10-15% customer acquisition cost, you're already dead in the water. So I'm excited. I've also seen a lot, and the reason I'm bringing these things up is this shit I want to cover. I've also seen a lot, whether it's the Facebook groups or people hitting up me like, hey, I'm spending $2,500 a month in pay-per-click. Is it worth it? I'm like, well, what are you doing in revenue? Oh, like $7,000. I'm like, no. Like, next question, right? And then they're like, well, what should you do? I'm like, I don't know. Find something that fucking works in your area, because marketing is extremely regional and specific to the cities, right? Casey and I, actually, some of the first conversations him and I had were pissing matches that we had, because he's like, yeah, I don't use Google AdWords. He ran a business for 5 years in the home services without using Google AdWords, but he's out there like a redneck putting yard signs out there, right? And I hate yard signs. But at the end of the day, we both ran successful businesses, right?
And there's still and there's still people that, like, here's the thing: you know what you know, but you also don't know what you don't know. And the reason I say that is because there's people that will fight tooth and nail with you on why their way is the best way, or why you're an idiot because you didn't do this. And my only excuse for like the Google ad conversation is I never had the opportunity to really use it. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, so you can't say it didn't work. I was like, I never said it doesn't work. I just said I never used it.
Right. I do think that it's very cyclical in the sense of like what you were bringing up, Andy, with like the yard signs or door hangers. All of that stuff is super beneficial. If you are in a local community, people want to work with people that they know. So I'm not sitting on here preaching that everyone needs digital marketing. Everyone needs it. It's very unique to each business. So whenever you're doing something like junk removal and you want to have that local presence, a lot of times people bring up to me that they can't do it because they're worried about 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They're worried about college hunks. Those franchises have nothing on local junk removal companies. It's not even an accurate competitor. There's so many different things that you can be doing in that sense.
So let's talk about that. What are those things? Because that's, again, so even when we were at JunkCon, people referred to, Big Blue, 800, Big Orange, right? And then, even Big Red now, Junk King is now America's largest junk removal company. They got bought out 2-3 months ago. So they're what is San Diego, I think they're out of, and they're chewing up market share, and they run a reputable company. We got a local Junk King here in our area. I've never run into the cats, but I've never heard complaints. I've heard plenty of complaints from the other
Big
camel
Blue.
wrap trucks. I've heard complaints about Big Blue, right? And what I haven't heard, so they're running a tight ship. So let's talk about that. What our audience is primarily independent junk removal companies, right? Owner and operators, small crews. Like I'd say less than 25 employees, and a lot of them are probably less than 10, right? Running two truck operation situations. So what are the things they can do to be extremely combat effective that your Big Blue isn't doing?
So junk removal is a very difficult space because, as you guys know, it can be very up and down. And your average ticket price isn't something like a roofer, right? So the ticket clients that you're going out to, you're maybe doing like a $400 job minimum. So it is hard to invest in marketing, especially during slower seasons or when things are so up in the air. But it is a growing industry. So I've spoken with people that own a junk removal company that have been in the business for 2 or 3 years, and they were always at the top of Google. Well, now there's more people entering their market that are doing those things like SEO. They're doing the Google ads. They're putting in the work with the marketing. Now, those are the two services that we work with most frequently for junk removal. It's going to be SEO and it's going to be Google ads. You need to be optimizing your website. You need to be optimizing your Google business profile. Those are all things that are going to be putting you ahead of the game. Now, things like Facebook ads, which we have people ask us about all the time, it's hit or miss. I would say don't pay an agency to do Facebook ads for you. It's hard to track an ROI. The algorithm is very difficult. There's too many people that are in there messing with it, doing it on their own. If you have additional money at the end of the year that you just want to spend on marketing, sure, run some Facebook ads, but you're just looking for a branding purpose. So
I found
people that are looking,
boosting a post actually works a little bit. What do you think about that? Because Facebook ads, that's another one. Like what you just said is, I agree with 100%. I think paying for Facebook ads is to a point could be stupid. But I also have found that when you boost a post, depending on how you do it, I think it works pretty good for what you're trying to do. Like not long term, but just like a short boost.
So Facebook ads is a service that we sell. So for me to sit here and say, don't pay me to do it, it means something. Boosting a post, going in and running your own Facebook ad campaign, absolutely. If you have the time to do it, I think it's great. From a branding perspective, you're getting your name out there, you're appealing to different people. Whenever you're trying to track a genuine ROI, it's so hard to determine who's coming from that Facebook ad campaign. And again, the people that are seeking your services have an immediate need. So if they need their basement cleaned out, if they need an estate cleaned out, they're going to Google, right? So if you're doing those Facebook ad campaigns and you're paying someone to run them for you, you're really just throwing a lot of stuff at the wall and seeing what's going to stick. Hopefully you're hitting that one person that needs your service. Boosting posts though on your own, 100%. It's a cheaper option. You don't have to put as much money into Facebook as you do Google to see a return.
So here's two things. I'll give you push back on one of the points. On Facebook, so our company ran, our third-party marketing company ran Facebook, I don't even know. Whatever, it was ad, but like lead, and like I don't know the fuck. I mean, because it's not, I don't know if it's an ad, I don't know if it's a boosted post, and I don't want the commenters to be like, you're an idiot. No, I don't know what the fuck it is, right? I could phone a friend and ask them. But what it did is it did lead us to a lead center, right, where it was no shit, real deal leads that came in through Facebook with all their data. So I could capture exactly how many leads came in. Here was the problem. I had 38 leads that came in 1 month. Of the 38, I converted 4 because, and this is the issue I had with Facebook, not Facebook, what the audience from Facebook. The audience from Facebook are, that's like throwing, a net in the water and seeing what you catch. You're not really being specific, right? Versus, going to Google, right, and you're throwing a line in to a specific spot. Because when you're going to Google, you're already looking for it. On Facebook, it's a scroll, and now it's like it's awareness, convincing them, and then giving them, and then a price, right? While when someone's on Google, they're already aware, they're already convinced they need it, and now they're looking for a price. So your polls, right? Because on Google, you're already farther down the pipeline, right? And while Facebook, you're really at the top of the pipeline with awareness. So that's my one pushback there. That there is a way to do it, and I'd be lying. I don't know. It's in the meta business suite universe shit.
There is a way to do it. Yeah. Running a full-on ad campaign on Facebook is great. We just see a better investment with that for things like e-commerce, right? Yeah. So if you're shopping online for shoes and you want to retarget to Facebook so it follows you,
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Something like junk removal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I also am a sucker on Facebook. Like they know me. They got my shit. I buy a book. I buy a book on Amazon. I've been reading a lot of books lately. I go on Facebook, and now it's this guy's newest book that's in the same genre of, being a better fucking person. So they know, right? And I'm more likely to buy a $15 to $30 item on Facebook. Hell, I was looking at yoga mats this morning. I haven't been on Facebook yet, but if I say yoga mat 3 times today, next time I go on Facebook, I'm going to see extra large yoga mats. Because here's the deal. I started doing yoga first of the year, total sidetrack, but I don't give a shit. The average size yoga mat doesn't fit me. It just doesn't. So I looked up the actual measurements. And so now I'm in a debate. Like, they make a yoga mat that's 76 inches, which is my height, by 3 foot. The problem, if I go to a yoga studio with like this refrigerator-sized yoga mat, I'm gonna get looked at, and I'm already the only dude there, so it's gonna be fucking weird with my adult-sized yoga mat. Tangent yoga mat. All right, my second point that I had about marketing, now that we're done talking about yoga mats, is I saw this. I'm just looking at my email now, and this gets me twitchy. And I'm already saying it out loud. I want to know how you feel about this. From a marketing perspective, when you see someone that is like Casey's junk removal at gmail.com, what does that tell you about that business?
So there's a few different things. Getting an email host is so easy. I always recommend for people to go get an email host. You want to make your business look clean cut and professional. At gmail.com, anyone can go and do that. It looks like you've been using that email for a while. I'm not knocking the people that do it. It's totally fine.
I am 100% knocking those people. Because for $12 a month, at least give a shit. Now, you can have that old email address forward to the new one.
Correct. Right? Yep,
like,
you can.
I do knock that shit. I do take exception to that. Because I used to be, back in the day, clutterbusters at yahoo.com.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And you know what? You know how committed I was to that? Not very, because I didn't have a bank account. I didn't have insurance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that. And there's, and again, if you're just, you want to hire Chuck in a truck, I guess that's fine.
Well,
same people that take Venmo. I don't take Venmo.
I think it also just depends on what they're wanting. I mean, a lot of these business owners, I've noticed, a lot of them are stuck in their ways. You're not going to change their mind, nor should you. Their prerogative is different than yours. At the same time, if they come to you and say, hey, Demi, I need you to help me because I really need to get my name out there. I've been doing this for 6 months to a year, and I'm missing the edge. Like, how do I get more jobs? How do I get more exposure? That's when you can try to say, hey, look, if you're coming to me, that means you trust my opinion or my advice. First thing you got to do is get rid of this email that says Hank loves big ones at yahoo.com. And
Hank grabs your
something else. Yeah, I mean,
and that's the thing.
That's
too,
the thing, right?
A lot of people don't know. They just don't know.
Yeah,
there's some people.
And honestly, that's the last thing they probably think about. Is first thing I got to do is change my email. I get Andy's point, absolutely, 100%. But
it's also first impressions. That's the first.
It is first
impressions.
It's
a phone number. It's a first impressions. That's what it comes down to. I even to a point have told people that I work, like what I'm going to potentially work for, or work with and hire. Hey, if you don't have it, don't. Actually, okay, awesome, Rachel. Also, Rachel is a client of mine that I've been consulting for a while. Casey, Rachel, her husband Rick, and I did a big project last year together. Like day one, I'm like, hey, get an email address. She's like, nope, I'm on it. So she's Rachel at awesomerachel.com. That's her business name. We just did our 2023 planning. And I go, hey, where's the website at? She goes, under construction. I go, sounds good. You had a great year without a website. You're continuing to have a great year. Okay. Right. So she met the minimum standard, which was getting the URL, get the email address. So it's Rick at Awesome Rachel and Rachel at Awesome Rachel. And that was the next level of professionalism. Because when she's working with these, they tear down small buildings, things like that, but they do a lot of demo work. It's like when they go in with these GCs aren't checking their website. They're like, hey, can you be on this job? Send us 3 referrals and we're good to hook. Right? Like their business does not speak to the consumer. Right. So the challenge I have is this is the problem. When you have a lot of these drunkable companies, they're like, hey, Andy, how are you so successful? Like, well, I got these big commercial jobs. Like, hell, Casey used to do jobs for Amazon, right? One of the biggest companies in the country, in the world. Right. So it's like, well, you don't get those fucking jobs if you got CaseyGrabsJunk@gmail.com.
Or do you?
Because, I mean, you get some type of job. Creepy guy with summer teeth. Y'all heard of summer teeth? Y'all got down in Texas. They got a lot of people with summer teeth. You ever hear that?
Summer teeth.
Summer teeth and some aren't.
I have no idea.
There you go.
That's more of like a Missouri,
Missouri
Kentucky
thing.
area. Missouri.
Oh, is it? That means down in Missouri.
There
we
I
go.
was about to say, don't say
that's right.
Missouri on here.
The show me state. Missouri.
Show me state. Show me
gotta
them.
go.
Show me them teeth.
Some of them teeth.
Then he's got, for those of you,
Mine are.
I know. Say for
real.
those of you listening on your commute home or commute in, Debbie's got good teeth. She ain't.
Thanks.
She doesn't have summer
I'm
teeth
not
there in
grouped.
Missouri.
That's horrible. No, I think that's interesting too. So what do you guys think about websites? What is your foundation with the website?
Oh man. I'll tell you right now.
Organic SEO is all I give a shit about.
Really?
Like,
give me the top. Give me the topic Google. That's all I care about.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'll tell you this. I learned this the hard way when I transitioned into full-time demolition, structural demolition. I realized real quick it does not matter about your website as much as a junk removal company's does, because your customers are completely different. My main customers were now developers and land people, not consumers that live in the residential areas. They were, hey, I just need to be introduced to someone. Most of my referrals were, hey, I know a guy, here's his number. And that's just kind of how that industry kind of worked. Now, the junk removal, I'll tell you this right now, a lot of people want to see what you do, but they also want to see your updated version of what you do, because before and after pictures, they're okay at first. Yeah. But after a while, it's like, okay, we get it. Like, you pick up stuff. But what makes you more exciting than the other company? What makes you more trusting? What kind of values does your business stand for? All that kind of shit. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't know how do we express that through a website.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good point, because a lot of the conversation and everything that you guys just said too, a lot of the conversations I have with junk removal business owners is not understanding the importance of having a good foundation for a website. So it's not necessarily that someone is going to be going to your website and judging you off of that or looking at that to make their decision. But whenever you're saying you don't care about the website, you care about the organic ranking, or you care about the leads, that is 100% dependent on the website and the foundation. And that's an investment that has to be made. So like, if you're looking to do marketing and have the patience to do the marketing, the website, like I look at so many each day that are not set up for success. They're not set up properly. I've talked to junk removal owners that have done SEO for a year or 2 years, and the company they were working with had everything wrong on their website. So it's just,
I get twitchy about that too. Years ago, I hired a company. It's like, it was like $900 to redo the SEO, and then it was like $600 in maintenance. And I had no fucking clue what they did. And they're like, "Oh, we do stuff." And I'm like, "All right, you spent like 10 minutes on this or 10 hours? I don't know."
Sure.
And like, what are the results? And it's like, it was very difficult to get a no shit real deal answer. That's one of the biggest challenges I've seen. Right, junk removal is blue collar, and a lot of us, Casey and I, and even look around JunkCon. Right, a lot of guys are military guys and gals. Right, we're military, so we see ball, hit ball. Right, in the military, it's like, if you don't go do PT, you fail your PT test. That's pretty straightforward KPIs. Right, you fail, like your fucking pants don't fit the next morning. But the problem with SEO is it's like, it's so arbitrary or unpredictable. Like,
hard to understand unless you're in that realm.
It's so difficult. So
you
difficult.
know, like
and
for me,
there's a lot
I
to
have
that.
nothing to. I couldn't even have a conversation about it because I don't understand that much, and a lot of people want to pitch to me, but I tell them like, here's the deal. You have to also work on how you present it because in my at least in my experience, like when you present it to me, you start using these big numbers and words. I'm not going to know what you're talking about, so it doesn't help me understand it even any better. I need to know, okay, if I pay you this much money, how is it helping my business and where?
Yeah.
Right. And I've done digital marketing sales for a while. So I started at a local agency. I sold $300 SEO, like nothing. It was right out of college. I was learning the ropes, and switching over to Height, like Height is totally different. So we're on a franchise, right? So we are the only digital marketing agency that operates on a franchise level. That means everyone that does the work is in-house. So whenever you're paying these local agencies, while they're great, they're outsourcing a lot of things. So like they're going to Fiverr and buying content, or they're hiring someone else to white label content for your SEO, things like that. Height, that's why I have such confidence in what I sell and what I do, is because I know the website optimist. I know the SEO specialist that's working on my clients' accounts. And also just valuing reporting. That's a big conversation I had at JunkCon, was a lot of people were saying, well, my digital marketing agency, they just send me the report at the end of the month. I don't know what I'm looking at. We do weekly optimizations, but then bi-weekly meetings with our account managers because we want you to know what you're investing your money in. So you just have to trust someone to know aggressive markets, the space that you're in, and that they're going to provide value. That's a big thing.
How'd y'all come out of JunkCon? Did y'all do good? Did y'all get a lot of interesting parties?
Yeah, we did fantastic. I'm still getting leads from JunkCon. We're still having a lot of people that reached out to us because they saw us. They see us in the groups on Facebook. They saw we were there. So it was a great investment of our time. It was awesome to meet everyone. But yeah, we had a very successful trip.
Cool. All right. So why are you in marketing?
Why am I in marketing?
Yeah.
So I went to school. Actually, I'm more into art. So I always was like focused on doing something in the art world, but I knew that I needed to get a real job, right? So I went to school for marketing. I did business with an emphasis in marketing. I did some graphic design. I thought it could be a little bit unique. And then my first job out of college, they realized I had a sales personality, and that's where I've been ever since.
What do you enjoy about sales?
I like the connections. So now that we're nationwide, I don't get to do too many in-person meetings anymore. It's all about Zoom, everything like that. But I'm trying to build up our presence here in St. Louis so that I can do more of those networking events and meet with people one-on-one. But I love selling something that I'm confident in, that I know helps people. So like small businesses, it's what we work with. It's what we choose to work with. And it's more of a partnership. So I love doing that.
Okay. So that's interesting. So I've never desired to do marketing. I can't stand doing marketing. It's one of the reasons I got in the franchise world in the first place. Was because I'm like, I don't know, marketing, just make the fucking phone ring. Once it rings, I'll figure it the fuck out. So I find it interesting how people get into marketing. Like some people, it's very natural. Like they like telling the story, or they like building brands. Like, so I think that's interesting. And one of the things that I've noticed with you, and you and I talked about this offline, is you're putting yourself out there on Facebook more often than not, right? And so I find that interesting. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, especially when it comes to the owner operator, right? We talked at the top of the hour about how we have a huge competitive advantage over Big Blue and Big Red, right? So let's talk about, what have you seen personally and professionally? What works as far as how individual owner operators can identify on social media so that they stand out as their brand, if you will?
So I've been seeing a lot, like we don't do content posting for social media and things like that. So this is just personal opinion from, like you said, what I've seen from junk removal owners. I see a lot of junk removal owners taking advantage of things like TikTok, short form video content, really putting out there who they are, who their team is. Whenever I was talking about how I have all these companies that come to me and they're like, we can't compete with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Well, of course you can. They're putting thousands and thousands of dollars in advertising each month, everywhere that they're at.
Yeah.
However, the more that you can convey value for your business and how you are a unique person and your unique selling proposition, saying you're veteran owned, you're local, you're clean cut. That's another big one. Like They're like, we're not just two guys showing up in our truck with our t-shirts on. We're a team. You know, we're very professional. We come on time. But in terms of like social media, it's conveying that to your audience. So really being persistent. I do a lot of personal branding. Our owner, Adam, does a lot of personal branding. You want people to know you before they choose to work with you.
Mm-hmm. Casey and I are clean cut. We got beards.
You guys are clean
Especially
cut.
not dude, my J-Duck. I was looking at some pictures. Holy crap. I can't believe no one told me, dude, your beard looks like shit. I had this big ass beard.
For the record, it looked awesome. I mean,
and sometimes. I think I saw some pictures during COVID. Like my hair was like all long right here. My beard was like, I looked like I was living on the streets. But I will say this.
Yeah, COVID was rough.
What helped me was being confined in such a local market that honestly, the reason why we never got with a digital media company was mainly because we didn't think, hey, how could y'all help us with staying in our parameters? Because we had such a small square area of operation, but it was dense, right? So like we had like, I think 600,000 population, but it wasn't very, it wasn't a very wide area. So the last thing we wanted to do was market into territories that we didn't own or areas that we didn't go and service to. So for us, we're like, how do we grow from within? And that's also why we did a lot of the different types of marketing. I will say, when I got into large scale like structural demolition, that's when I started to look at ads more, right? That's when I started to, hey, I have to have some sort of online presence because now it is going to be more of a, hey, what does my reach look like versus did this person see my flyer at a restaurant?
Right.
Well, one thing, even back when you were doing the franchise thing, Case, you used to always shoot videos. You had that like other persona that was like redneck Casey out there in the woods.
No. It was Jersey Casey. Like, it was like,
dude, how y'all doing?
No, I remember it was Jersey guy. It was like,
what do you mean?
Yeah, get your junk removal needs here.
There it is. That was that guy. Yeah, I know. Super gross. Super gross guy. Like,
it works.
Hilarious.
Gosh, it works.
I know. Casey
exactly
on the job with the boys. We're grabbing some
bikers here. The trailer dumps.
That's hilarious.
Basically, Casey would just do daily reports of what he was eating,
but
and then by the way,
we
do junk removal.
Well,
and that's the point. Well, that's the point. It's obviously this podcast is speaking about junk removal because we love this industry and we want independent owner operators to get all the answers to be highly successful in this space, right? So we talk about junk removal, but when you're doing your personal branding shit, don't talk about junk removal. I can't stress that enough. Right. I know, and there's some people out there, right? There's other YouTube creators that, they create a lot of content about how to be most proficient at junk removal. It's like,
oh man,
that's good for guys that are in the space. But if you're speaking to your end user, you got to talk about what problem you're solving, or even better, just show your personality. Like, like Casey's prime example, he's got, him and his wife, and they got 2 kids. They can run around and be like, hey, we're out here doing this, right? So it's like, you don't have to say I'm a local veteran. You're like, hey, look at us at fucking the Memorial Day parade, right?
Or if they're in a chamber, or if they're in something local in the community, those are all great things.
Yeah, and support.
Yeah, and I think also
talk about the chamber, not about yourself.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a guy, we met him at JunkCon. He's all about making videos for everything. I mean, shit, he was making a video walking down the damn terminal to the airplane. It's all about content. And look, I don't know the guy. I met him once. I think he's cool. I think he's nice. Do I like his videos? I don't watch them, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
But he's always
he's
doing
creating content. But
and I'm like, well, what's the content for? Because
what's the point?
What's the point of it? Like, I get it. You want to be seen, but it does me no good if, let's say, Demi's like, hey, Casey, your shit is hot over here in St. Louis. Like, everyone here is liking your stuff. And it's like, oh, great. Well, cool. I can't do anything in St. Louis. I don't live in St. Louis. I don't work in St. Louis.
Right. And see, that is different for junk removal because, like, with us, with us being a marketing agency, like I said, Adam and I do a lot of personal branding because if we can't market ourselves, companies aren't going to trust us to market them. So that's a huge deal. Adam spends a ton of time on personal content. He's much better than I am. But I will say we've moved almost 90% away from cold sales. Like prospecting, people come to us when they're ready to buy. They know what we offer and they're ready. So they could be watching our content for a year, 2 years, and they make the decision. But that's the thing for us. But again, we're nationwide. We're not someone that's of one area or whatever it may be. So doing a lot of things in your local presence is going to be beneficial. I don't know if that means posting every single day, multiple times a day for junk removal or to get those clients for your brand, but it's getting people to know who you are.
So real quick, so break this down. You said you're a franchise. Help me understand that.
So we're the only digital marketing agency currently that operates on a franchise model.
So you guys are the franchisee?
Adam's the franchisee, yeah. Or the franchisor. He's in St. Louis. And
he's the franchisor.
Franchisor, right. And then Emily and I are on the leadership team as well. So our VP, which you met at JunkCon.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So we're all for this.
So then you have franchisees throughout the country that act as local marketing companies, and then they basically sell the services, and then they send the product, or they send the service request up to you guys, and the corporate office does it? Or what's the point of it being a franchise?
So our headquarters it's actually in Nicaragua. So our owner, JC, owner of the whole franchise, JC Height, Kim, he's from here in the United States, but his wife lives in Nicaragua. So that's where they decided to do the headquarters and everything. Then they started breaking off. So they had people come in and buy, again, like the St. Louis location. We have a location in Dallas. Those are all independent of each other.
Okay, so the guy that you work for, he's the franchisee, not the franchisor. Nicaragua is the franchisor.
Oh, okay,
got it. Right. He's the
partner.
Got it, but that's the franchisee. The franchisor would be Homeboy Nicaragua. Okay,
correct.
So then you guys have a united. Okay, so then you are independent of the Dallas guy,
right?
So you guys fly the same flag, essentially. And then what support do you get from the corporate office?
So our fulfillment team is all in that headquarters. So that's your website optimist, your account managers, strategist,
so you get
specialists, things like that.
So you guys are basically selling on the front end and then managing the relationships. Yeah,
so we're actually the biggest franchise at Height, St. Louis. Yep. So we have a lot more client facing, like on our leadership team here stateside. So in terms of things like SEO, of course, that's all going back to our specialists at our headquarters.
Yep.
But we do have like our account managers, our product manager. We have people here stateside as well. So you get the feel of a small agency because you're working with people like Emily and I every single day, but you get the resources and the data of a big agency.
And then do you guys produce anything in-house there in St. Louis?
No, so everything is back to our fulfillment team. So like I said, like we have our account managers that will handle those projects. We have a product manager for like websites, things like that. They're all stateside. Everyone else, well, account managers are in Nicaragua as well. But
got it. Okay, so you guys basically get the orders of the donuts they need, and you send the order up, and then the fulfillment team sends the donuts, and you deliver the donuts.
Yeah, but there's like I said, with us being the biggest franchise, there's a lot of QAing going on. So like Emily and I get fed everything before anything goes out. So it's really just the assistance of that team and having that strategy. So it's great.
Well, that's interesting. I find that interesting, that business model. Actually, I ran into my cousin's husband today at Chipotle. Shout out Chipotle. I haven't had Chipotle in like 2 years, 3 years. And I had left an appointment I had, and I was on the way to the gym. And I was jonesing for a burrito. Anyways, ran into him. He recently bought out a bread truck from a guy who owned the franchise. So basically, he bought the route and the truck, and he's going to buy another route, and he can do 2 routes with 1 truck if he hires a stock guy to stock the stores after he drops off the product. Interesting business model. So anyways, him and I stood there for like 10 minutes talking about how that works, right? Because you have, one of the big boys, not Wonder Bread, whatever. They're all like union driver, corporate office, right? And then his company is like, nope, all independent owner operators. Even FedEx does shit like that. So I find that interesting, right? There's all these different business models, right? You see a truck driving on the road, right? The assumption is more often than not, like, all right, there's a big publicly traded company that owns that truck, and they hired a driver, and the driver gets in the truck and does the thing, right? Well, it's like, well, no, it could be owner operator, it could be a franchise, it could be fucking white labeled. Like there's all these different business models. And where I'm going with this, which is interesting, is I think it's interesting your model because you're basically like a front facing organization that then has a lot more resources at your disposal, because a lot of marketing companies, right, they're only going to hire local people and their staff of 5. It's like they don't have a graphic designer, but they'll do the graphic design, and it might suck because they're keeping their expenses low, right? Or they hire someone locally, but then they mark up their services, and it's like, well, why am I paying $90 an hour for a graphic designer? I could hire for $60 an hour. It's like, well, they had to mark it up 50% to manage the relationship. So it's like, well, that sucks.
It's a great business model because everyone works together. So like the person that's doing your SEO, they're working with the person that's doing your Google ad campaign.
But the person doing your SEO though isn't geographically, co-located. Right? They could be anywhere.
Yeah, but there's a lot of market research and strategy that goes into all of our campaigns. So it's like whenever you are tackling those more aggressive markets, you have to, like, we do strategy decks often so that we can take advantage of like what's going on in your market, what are your competitors doing. There's a lot of in-depth research that goes into that you don't have to have someone that lives in Atlanta do Atlanta SEO.
Yeah. No.
How does it work with the franchisees? Like if you have a franchisee in Dallas, but your customer, but you personally have a customer in Dallas. How does that work? Because at that point, you're pretty much taking their customers away, aren't you?
Not really, because we all are nationwide. And I think a lot of different franchises focus on certain niches, right? So like we're big in home service based, junk removal. That doesn't mean Dallas is big in junk removal.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So there are certain, like there's
sub niche.
Yeah. So
it's separate.
Theoretically, another franchisee could pop up in St. Louis right now.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't let 2 people be in St. Louis. But if it were to happen like that, then if they focus on something different, it's not really a direct competitor. There's
I got you. Right. Yeah, like junk removal franchise is all about the zip code. Like that's a significant thing because that's where we're driving, right? So that was good clarification, great question there, Casey, to understand. Why, like you say, you're nationwide, you do home services. Well, it's like, well, then why should there be anybody else? So that's interesting.
Right. And some of them focus on more like things that we don't. So like example, e-commerce. We don't work a lot with e-commerce. It's just not our specialty. It's not something that we have a lot of pride in. So if we did have a lead or something like that, we could always pass that off as a referral to a different franchise.
So you could literally have a franchise that's like, hey, look, I have a niche in real estate and I want to just power through real estate. And technically they could set up shop right next door to you and it could work out fine because y'all have 2 submarkets.
Right. And even here in St. Louis, like even with people outside of Height, we have a lot of personal relationships with other local digital marketers just because it's not a competition for us. There's a lot of business out there. There's a lot of people that we can work with. We are looking for a very unique client that's ready to put the patience in, ready to work with us as a partnership rather than someone just to pick up a job here and there. And we're always happy to pass off referrals and things like that.
How did you guys particularly get into the home services niche?
So Adam owned a marketing company prior to joining with Height. So before he took his business to Height, he was working with a lot of people in the local space for home service. So like contractors, roofers, and then we just kept that growing out.
Yeah, so it was a natural fish. Yeah.
Junk removal started in St. Louis. We have a big client here in St. Louis that we've had success with. Kind of transferred that off onto other markets, looking at the strategy, seeing how we could excel. And that's kind of how we grew in that space as well.
Makes sense.
So what's, so versus roofing, landscapers, whatever, what are some unique things you've seen in marketing that work or don't work in the junk removal space?
The biggest thing that doesn't work, like that I, again, will not sell is Facebook ads. That's something that I don't think it's worth your time or investment if you could be investing in other things. Now, whenever it comes, there's not a lot of things that I would not recommend for junk removal besides those things like those branding outlets, because I just don't think that's where you should be spending your marketing dollars unless you really are trying to build a brand. The biggest thing I can say is with SEO and Google ads, that is your best foundation. That's your best return on investment. You do have to think, because I know you guys were talking about ads a lot. Google ads, you're looking anywhere from like 1 to 3 months to really start to see that lead generation come in, but you're looking at a lower quality lead. So you're looking at about 65% quality lead versus something like SEO that takes time. It takes about 3 to 6 months to start to see a return, but you're looking at like 90 to 95% quality lead. You just have,
and they're literally more willing to scroll down a little bit farther and do a little research. and go to a website versus just click a form or
and some people still skip ads. They're just like, there's some people that haven't,
I do.
like,
So I refuse to click on a fucking ad.
Because malware or viruses, like there's still people that have that mindset, even though it's such a hard process to do Google ads now. Like it's ridiculous to get an ad campaign accepted. People still think like, oh, what if I get a virus from clicking on this, or it follows me or whatever.
Well, my other thing is I just don't want, like, especially when I'm doing small business, I don't want them to have to pay for that click. If I'm going to a website that I know what the website is, I'm just Googling it because it's fast. Like I almost always do that. I was just thinking about that. I was opening.
Yeah. Well, also
people.
I think it says something as well, because I can go to a website that has its own organic reach, and it's like, hey, look, anybody can just go pay to have their spot somewhere. Like, I get it.
Right.
I'm not saying it's bad or not, but if I'm personally looking for someone, I'm going to Google it, and I'll probably see their ad, but I'm going to just keep scrolling until I see something that's not an ad and be like, now I can read into it a little bit more and make my own decision there.
There's nothing more valuable than that top spot on Google organically. If it's in the map pack, if it's on the first organic search result, that is going to be the biggest thing. The thing is, though, is a lot of people don't have the patience to do it. They don't have the trust in the process. And if they do start to see success in it, they quit. And you have to be consistent. SEO is not a service that you can start and stop. It's something that once you hit that ranking, you got to keep paying for it.
I think people look at SEO for the majority of, I mean, for at least people who don't understand it fully, they look at it like gambling. And if they hit it, they hit big and like, cool, I'm going to get my money back and get out. Or if it doesn't hit, they just like, hey, this isn't working for me. I want that instant gratification. I've given you money and I'm not getting anything in return. It goes back to the billboard method. I mean, I have a little bit of experience in billboards, and the only time I actually full on paid for one long term was for my demo company, because I got a stupid deal on a billboard. It was $400 a month, and then they knocked off $50 a month if I bought up a year. So I was like, yeah, I'll take a whole year. That made sense for me because it was so cheap. Now, most billboards in prime locations can run $6,000 to $10,000 to $12,000 a month. And the problem is, and they'll tell you this, say, hey, look, there's no good in having a billboard 1 month. You need to at least have it up for 6 months to really get your full returns coming in, and to create that data of, who's seeing it and all that good stuff. Well, the problem, like you said, is people get impatient. And especially in this market, when you're a junk removal company, not every junk removal company is cash heavy. So they're going to be like, hey, I saved up. I did good this month. I have $3,000 I could put towards marketing. What does that get me?
Right.
Rather than saying, hey, talking to you and say, hey, what does a 6 month to a year plan look like? Because I want to at least try to adjust for that.
And that's a big part of our job too, is really being transparent on time frame and expectations, because it is not worth our time to take on an SEO client for a month or two and then have them, drop off. That is just so much work that goes into that campaign, and a lot of upfront work for someone that's not going to understand the process. So there's a lot that goes on our sales process, our onboarding process, that's educating and letting them know that we're setting proper expectations. It's huge, because a lot of times, like when I'm looking at these websites, you are making a big investment, because it's something like they don't have a good website. They need a new foundation to drive the traffic. They need a whole ad campaign that they've never set up. So you just have to know that you're putting in that as an investment in your business. It's not just a one-time thing that you're not going to see a return on.
I like it.
I was at a conference like 2 months ago, and one of the marketing companies there is lady Lisa Rabel. I like to give shout outs to people that say things. She calls those random acts of marketing, right? And those random acts of marketing, we all get caught guilty of. And especially independent owner operators, it's like, try this. Oh, that didn't work for 30 days. Well, do something else. And it's like, and also if you don't have that bandwidth to do it for, minimum 90 days, if not 180 days, and you don't have that cash, and that cash isn't already allocated, right? If you're like, hey, I need that cash to come back to me within 30 days. Well, that's not fucking happening, right? You got to say, like that $3,000 example case, you got to say, okay, what is it, what I want to do $500 a month for 6 months and be consistent about it to see if it slaps. Not what do I want to spend $3,000 on today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the same
we've
thing.
All got it.
And and I think it goes with a lot more factors in this business than just marketing. I mean, you and I've already talked about the trailer situation. When someone's like, hey, I need a new trailer. Well, do I spend all my money at one time, or do I finance it?
Or finance it, yeah. Pay the
Well, I think
pay the 7% interest and call it good.
yeah,
Right.
because I mean it's sort of relevant here because in this, if I have an appointment with Demi, like now I kind of have different questions I would ask versus 4 or 5 years ago. But now I would kind of ask like, hey, what's my full commitment looking like? Like tell me what I'm going to be doing in December. What are we in January? Okay, tell me what I'm going to be looking like this summer because I already know.
Yeah,
I already know the winter and the spring. I already know that what it's going to feel like. But
Yep.
what's it going to look like in the summer? Am I going to be able to grow from this result alone? Is this going to be like, hey, you need another truck and trailer crew, whatever? Or is it going to be like, hey, I need 2 crews. Now I know you don't have all the answers, but you can say, hey, look, if you give us your patience and time, here's what we can be sure of. We can get you in these markets or whatever, get your name out there more. Right. In about 2-3 months, you're going to start seeing a big difference.
Definitely. And I don't guarantee any results. I mean, I think that if any marketing agency is guaranteeing you a specific result, you should run away from them. It's just not practical. However, a lot of the conversations that I was having like in December and even early this month is, where do you want to be mid-year? And what is that looking like? Because you have to understand the time frame of these specific services and the commitment that's going to go into it. SEO is fantastic. It's the best return on investment. You could see a 10 times return, you could see 100 times return, but you're still going to have one flat rate fee. You just have to give it the time to do its work. Now, again, Google ads, you're always going to have the additional ad spend, so there is going to be a cap on that return.
Let's break this
Andy,
down.
I think you say it. What's the 90-day? There's a 90-day return on everything you do, right?
Well, yeah, whatever you did, whatever's happening today is a direct result of what you did 90 days ago, and what you do today, you'll see the return on investment 90 days from now. Now, that's a hillbilly math, right? For if I do one thing today and I get a return on it tomorrow, there's gonna be something else that I get a return on in 179 days from now.
Right.
Like,
but if I need something now, if I'm like, hey, Demi, I need more business now,
90 days.
take my money.
Right. Yeah. So here are your 2 options. Right. You have 2 options. If you need something now, you have 2 options. You can do it 90 days ago, which doesn't work, unless a time travel machine, or you can do it fucking now. But moreover, you got to say to yourself, better question, what do I need in 90 days from now?
Yeah,
exactly.
Because if you're asking right now, what do I need now?
Yep.
You got to get to a point. I remember, and this is marketing, cash flows, life, right? In life, what we're consistently doing is putting our 3 variables. There's 3 things we put into everything in life, right? It is time, effort, and money. That's it. Everything breaks down, Barney style, in those 3 buckets. Okay. And what it comes down to, and this is life. How much effort and time and money are you willing to put in to life so that you can either reduce the amount of time it takes, reduce the amount of effort it takes, increase the amount of money you get output, right? Decrease the amount of effort you get for the same amount of money, right? And I use the word money because money is if you take money and just throw it, or money is gas, right? And if you take gas and throw it on a pile of timber, nothing happens, right? You got to have timber that's already burning. Then you throw money on it, then we're good, right? Because I work for a venture capitalist group, and they're like, oh, just throw money at it. Well, it's like, no. You got to have a process. You got to have a fire. Right. You got to have something that's working. And then I'm going to throw money on it. And if you watch, I watch a lot of Shark Tank, and they say that too. But the companies that are more interested in investing in are the ones that have already figured it out. And they say, hey, what's your customer acquisition cost? This. Who's your what is your ideal product? This. Okay, so you need money to stimulate that. Versus, hey, we're really not sure what's going on. Like we got a little flame over here and a little something over here, and we got some lumber. Well, it's like, hold on, money is not an accelerant at that rate, and that's what marketing is. Right. If you put no money into marketing, with a lot of time and effort and knocking on doors and walking around and shaking hands and kissing babies, right? You will eventually grow your business, but it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, right? Because at some point 100%. you spend money on a business card because you get sick of fucking writing down your name and number every time, right? Like, or you get a fucking app on your phone or whatever, right? But even an app on your phone, like you gotta be able to share that and whatever, right? So marketing, the biggest challenge I have with marketing all these years is like, I don't want to spend money unless I see what's going to happen. And that's the challenge, right? It is difficult. You said from the top, one of the biggest things you've seen in the junk removal business is how cyclical it is. So let's break this down, Barney style. We got a pretty good idea. Junk removal companies, right? First full year of business, if they're doing well, you got a committed owner operator, should be right around 200, 250K, right? That's a one truck operation, right? That's someone that maybe they started in June and then, right, then that's their first full year thereafter. Or it's someone that dabbled nights and weekends for a year or two and then said, okay, now I'm fucking committed, right? And if you're at 175 or 180, don't feel like, oh man, I'm not there yet. No, but on average, I've seen, right, you basically, you buy yourself a 6-figure job, right? Because it's going to cost you about 60% on that 250 to get to 100. That's, again, hillbilly math, 40% return to pay the owner operator. All right. So let's break that down, right? And that owner operator wants to get from 250 year one to 400 year two and add that second truck, right? That I would say that's, but this is a 2 or 3 year guy that wants to get to 3 to 5. He wants to get out of the truck. He wants to have 2 trucks running. So let's break that down. Hi, Demi. My name's Andy. I have a junk removal company, fucking ABC Junk Removal, right? Doing about 250,000 this year. I want to get to 400. What is the spend I got to make? Right? I got a website. It's basic as fuck, but it's there. Right? What is the spend on SEO to get to that point where I can grow into that business I want to be?
So it's going to be dependent on your market. And again, that's definitely where the strategy comes in, is seeing, are your competitors doing the SEO? Are they doing the Google Ads campaign? I would say in a comfortable level, whatever you're making, you should be spending about 10 to 15% at minimum on marketing. So that should be going into your SEO strategy, your Google Ads campaigin.
So the 10 to 15, so are you doing, okay, let's break it down a little. Do you want to spend 10 to 15% on what you've done or what you're going to do, right? Because 10% of 250 is 25, but 10% of 400 is 40, right? So what is it better? Is it to spend the 250 of 10% of what you're bringing in now or 10% of what you anticipate bringing in?
10% of what you're bringing in now. Okay. 10 to 15% of what you're bringing in now. See that return on investment. You can always increase that. So that's where I say is a good comfortable level if you're looking to grow and scale, especially if you haven't done much marketing or you haven't been consistent in your marketing. That's a good baseline. You should be putting, I mean, on average, what we see right now, for example, like a Google Ads campaign, we wouldn't entertain doing an ads campaign if they wanted to spend less than $1,000 in ad spend. Doesn't matter. Yeah, a month. So it doesn't matter how aggressive the market is. Most junk removal companies are between 1,000 to 3,000. I'd say leaning more towards 3,000 a month.
I'd say I'm in that ballpark. Yeah, full transparency.
Absolutely, and that's where most people are sitting. Now, you look at like Atlanta, you look at Dallas, all these like California, these really competitive markets. You do have to be more aggressive in your SEO as well as ads. But that's base by base.
Great, but you're great. But everything's more expensive. I mean, that's scale, right? And yeah, I mean, I had a business in San Diego, and 250,000 in San Diego was a big fucking nothing burger because my prices were 15-20% more, and 250,000 in San Diego doesn't get you fucking anywhere. I mean, it doesn't. You know, we had about a $500,000 operation running in San Diego at one point, and it was like just barely getting by. And that was a 3-truck operation we had at the time. Okay, so SEO, talk to me about that, because I fucking hate hearing about SEO. Just hate it. So well, I hate it because
talk more about what I hate to hear about.
Yeah, let's hear it. Yeah.
Let's talk about it. I already went to my fucking VA counseling appointment this morning, so we're good to hook. We ain't gonna get into all that. Because what I do, because I go on Facebook pay-per-click, I can go onto Google, right? We have our Google My Business page. I can pull it up at any time and say how many dollars I spent in the last whatever many days. What was my cost? Right, and there's like fucking 12 data points: cost per acquisition, cost per click, fucking whatever, reaches, all this other bullshit, right? I go to networking events and leave with X number of business cards in my pocket, right? And also know I handed out so many, right? There's all these KPIs. SEO, I have no clue what's going on, so it gets me twitchy. So what is a good spend on SEO, and what does it get me?
So SEO is going to be determining, like, wherever you're working with, every agency is going to have a different cost. It's a flat rate fee. It's what they're taking out.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about other agencies. What's yours? I want to know where you're at, because our listeners are going to be like, whoa, how much? Right, they're listening for this number to see how much are they spending. I know how much I spend.
Our SEO local basic package starts at $17.50 a month.
Okay.
Our SEO local pro package is $22.50 a month. So if you're spending less than $1,000 on SEO, it's probably a very cookie cutter SEO strategy. You're not paying someone to do the research for your market. Now, am I saying that's the best spend? No, I'm saying that there's great agencies that are all over, but that's what we do for what we offer. Now, like you were saying, you go into Google Ads, you run your Google Analytics, you see what's going on with the campaign.
Yeah.
We use a platform at Height. It's called What Converts. It's a really great platform. I think I showed you guys at JunkCon. It's a leads dashboard. And essentially what it does is it tracks anything that comes in from our service. So if that's SEO, if that is Google ads, etc. So what you'll see is you'll see how many phone calls you're getting, how many leads you're getting, whether it's form submissions, messages. You'll see if it was organic, if it was coming from your Google ad, what keyword the person had searched. That's the biggest thing with SEO and people not wanting to make the investment or not trusting marketing agencies is not having that transparency. So that is one thing that we give our clients.
Dashboard,
because and if we don't have good results, we need to hold ourselves accountable, right? So we know at all times that you can see what you're spending your money on. And with SEO, people need that comfort. They want to make sure that something is happening. Like you'll also get a work log for your blog post, your content, things like that, just so that you know what's being done.
And what percentage of your total marketing spend should be SEO?
Again, it's going to be dependent on your market, but I would say that majority of your ad spend should be, or your marketing budget should be on SEO. I would say over 50%. SEO is going to give you the highest return and it's going to give you the best results. It just makes the most sense.
Well, I mean, so here's the hillbilly math. Your $17.50 a month comes out to $21,000 a year, right? So if you want to be that, right, $400,000 a year junk roll company, that $21,000 is literally 55%. Right, and that's your marketing budget, right? And now let's factor in another $12,000 a month, or sorry, $12,000 a year, right? You're at $33,000 on Google AdWords, right? You can see quick, fast, in a hurry how you're down to 85% of your spend is chewed up. 80%. I gotta do the math. 33 by 40. Come on, 33 by 40. 82 and a half. There we go. 82. I was fucking close to 85. That was driving me nuts. I said 85. I was like, that seems too high. 82.5%. Hillbilly math. There we go. It doesn't leave a lot of many dollars. It doesn't. I mean, we haven't talked about uniforms or branding or fucking flyers, yard signs. Fucking Casey loves yard signs.
Hey, you know what? It goes back to what you were saying, though. Here's why I like yard signs. Because for me, they were almost a guarantee, right? So I knew that, I have proof that shows I got business from yard signs. So for me, I'm going to double down on that. Instead of saying, hey, it works great, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to go through something else, spend some money on something I have no proof on concept yet.
Right.
And I don't know, with online presence, I feel like you need you have a budget for your online presence. So this is just more of a normal number. So let's say it's 10 to 15% for marketing. This is going for online presence marketing. You also need money for physical marketing, what you do on the daily. So in actuality, I would think you're probably more around 20%, maybe even 25% for a full marketing budget, right? That's advertising, that is meetings, that is wraps, signs, you name it, and an online presence. So when you go back to your normal number, like Andy said, 250, let's just go off of that number. Well, 20 to 25% of that, in order to get what, 400 or 500 at that point? Because if online is going to say, hey, I need you to spend 10 to 15% to get to 400, well, then when you're spending 20 to 25%, is that going to gross me 500? Because you also have to look at that. And I think a lot of us don't know either one, like, or they only know one of them really good, or the other one, like for me, I didn't know online presence like much at all. Yeah, I had Facebook and I made videos, but I'll be honest with you, I made those videos mostly because they were fun. I had the time, I was new, and I didn't understand the content and the algorithms and all that bullshit yet. So I'm trying to do the number real quick. I was trying to talk and do calculations and shit. Not very good at that.
It don't work. That math ain't good. That ain't good math.
Okay, so it's $50,000 a year in just marketing. If I were to go off the $250,000 at 10%, what do you think about that, Andy? Is that going into your second year? Are you comfortable with paying $4,000 a month? Overall marketing, not just online, but overall marketing.
Yeah, 48,000. Yeah, 48,000 to go from 2,500 to it's your 12% market spend of 400. Is that what you came up with? That's what it is. That's why I asked: is it current or future growth? Right. So that'd be a 12% spend on a pro forma of 400. Yeah, I would. I don't disagree. I would even go so far as to say, if you are in no shit growth mode and cash flows are good, you should spend 10% minimum of future growth and up to 15%. So if you want to get to $1 million business, right, you got to spend 150 on marketing. Yeah, now, if you're at 100,000 and you want to get to $1 million next year, you got some other shit you need to figure out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But your spend. I mean, even here. I mean, Q1 here this year, we got the NARI, North American Remodelers Industry. I don't know. I have to look it up like an asshole. We got NARI. We got a local. We got another. What do you call it? We North American. Yeah, National Association of Remodeling Industry. There we go. NARI. Should have known that shit. But anyways, we have that. We have a Metropolitan Builders Association, and we have the Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors. All three of their conventions or expos are in Q1, right? Mm-hmm. So I know I'm going to fucking spend the money, right? Those are $2,500 weekends by the time, we do just buy the promo, buy the stand, fucking $300 for a goddamn outlet, right? Like it is what it is. So I know I'm going to spend the money. I'd rather spend, right? If I'm going to do $1 million, I'd rather spend $150,000, know it, and have it pretty much burned up by September 30th. Where October, November, December are maintenance. I don't want to take on new projects. This last year we used the last of our marketing budget at the end of the year to wrap trucks because we did a rebrand, and that was part of it, right? We had spent money, but last year I rebranded. Well, when you rebrand, that means you got to rewrap trucks or at least re-logo the logo. We had to build a new website, create all new video content. Last year was an expensive year in marketing.
Uniforms, and I mean everything.
Sure. Uniform. Oh yeah, dude. Coats. I mean. Right. Coats are $100. It was another $80 to get them embroidered. I mean, they're badass looking fucking coats, but yeah, a lot of money spent. Now the goal was, 2022 was rebrand, reinvest, and now moving forward, it's going to be fortify the walls of things we built. Right? We had to rebuild last year. Now, and I'm asking about SEO on a selfish perspective. Like, what should my SEO be? Because we built the website last year, but SEO is my top priority, and I don't fucking know where I'm at. No fucking clue.
But I think with a rebrand like that, you're looking at 2 years to see your money back.
And a new website too.
Yeah.
A new website's going to take a while to be indexed by Google. So you have to know that there's going to be some SEO work there, but also just making sure that it's set up properly. That's the biggest thing is, like I said, I look at websites all day, every day. And I have so many people that come to me and say, I've been doing SEO for a few years, and there's just, the website doesn't back it. The marketing agency should have known to set it up right. They should have, had it with a better authority score by now, et cetera. So there's a lot of stuff you can track with SEO that's not those physical analytics. It's just having someone that you trust to show you that work.
Yeah.
Especially whenever you are, like you said, whenever you guys are in a blue collar field, you're putting your time and your effort out on the job. You don't want to have to sit here and worry about who's running your website. And you, frankly, a lot of them don't want to understand what's going on with the website. It's just, that's out of sight, out of mind. They want it to be handled.
They want to be able to trust whoever they're paying is doing their job.
Correct.
Just like any role they hire. Hey, if I hire you as an equipment operator and you get into a machine, you're like, I don't know how to do this. Well, then what the hell? Like, get away from my job site. So if I hire you to take care of my SEO and website and, months go by and it's like, hey man, like, no offense, but I'm not really seeing anything different. Right. I guess those are understandable questions because being an expert in your field, when you get hired, you're expected to do the job that you're hired for.
Of course. Mm-hmm. And it's also, again, back to transparency. It's just making sure that you are doing those reporting calls, making sure that you are staying in touch with your clients. You are there for additional support. We're month to month. So it's like one of those big things is if we did not retain our client, if we weren't doing our job properly, we would lose all of our clients. Yeah. And I mean, most digital marketing agencies average between 40 to 45% churn between month to month. We're at about 8 to 9% churn. Like, we have a very good client retention program that we work with.
That's high.
40 to 45% for digital marketing agency.
Damn.
People do not trust digital marketers.
That's like junk removal. That's like junk removal numbers.
If I've learned anything, that's right.
Someone asked me about personnel. Like, they're like, how many people have you hired over the years? I'm like, oh man, over 100 and something. Like, what do you mean? I was like, that's just junk removal, man. It's labor intensive. You go through people like crazy.
Right.
Yeah. If they make it 30 days, they'll make it 90. If they make it 90, they make it a year. That's it.
Yeah.
Most of them don't make it 3. Like 30 days is a long amount of time. I mean, it is.
Wow.
In this hustle.
Yeah, I bet.
All right. coming up on the hour here. What questions you got for us? What can we, we talked to a lot of junk removal people. What knowledge can we embark on you? I'll Google that.
Yeah, I think that's great. What do I need to know from your guys' perspective as a digital marketer in the junk removal space? What insight can you give me that you're looking for with someone like me?
It is embark.
I'll tell you one thing. I figured this out early on who my target demographic was. A lot of people get in this industry thinking everybody's their customer. Everybody has junk. And I'm going to tell you right now it's false, 100% false. The reason why is because everybody who has junk doesn't mean everybody's going to pay you to take it away. At the same time, take into consideration your personal market. So, for instance, if just numbers, because they don't lie, right? If you have numbers that say, hey, I'm in 7 figures, I have less than 8,000 total customers lifespan, but job count is 15,000. That would average out to about 2 per customer. So it tells you if my population is 600,000, tells you I have a lot of work to do, but it also tells you, okay, well, who keeps using me? That's who I want to know. I don't want to know who may use me. Right. I want to know who's going to keep using me, because the best kind of customer is the one you pay for once but uses you all the damn time. So if I came to you, I would say, hey, look, Demi, here's my target audience. This is who I want more of. And for me, it was the female between, I think it was like 35 and 45. And because the area I was in, most of the females made the decisions of the household. They're all residential. We had commercial jobs, but we didn't market for commercial like we did residential, obviously. Sure. But residential junk removal is the one thing you can't just pick up your phone and cold call, right? They're not going to be like, oh, I'm so glad you called me. Yes, I want to use you. So the question I would ask is, how can I make sure that you are going to get me into that market and not just the blanket market? Yeah,
definitely.
That's what I would want. I'd want my target audience. No, I'd want you to understand that for me, we had to figure out things the hard way, just because we didn't have the support that normal franchises usually offer. But when we found out our target audience, we started honing in on those people, right? And we noticed that absolutely, like, they're the same people that go to these stores, go to these restaurants during these times. So we'd make sure we could hit those places as well.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Awesome.
What about you, Andy?
What else? I got nothing. I want to hear her questions.
So you guys did you guys both have franchises? Is that what you're saying for your
we're both part of the same franchise system.
Okay. And why did you guys split off of that?
Because it was a fraud.
Yeah.
Really?
Because they fucked over veterans. And they were, there was nothing proprietary but what they had other than their logo, and they didn't know how to fucking market.
Yeah.
The investment didn't match the return.
When you're a franchisor and you don't have any operational processes, you have no proprietary relationships, then you better be really good at marketing, and they aren't very good at marketing. And they're more concerned about selling franchises than they are selling junk removal. Because if your existing franchisees are doing well, the business will grow. But they are the end state in mind, which was sell. Oh, they fell. Someone fucking failed and, lost their house and got divorced and maybe even, ended up in an institution. Well, that's fine. We'll just sell another one. Yeah. So it's the business side was shit, and the philosophical or personal side was even worse. So,
like, for instance, they would come to you and they would say, hey, let's make a deal or whatever. Y'all would agree on whatever terms, but then they would immediately start pushing your brand on everybody, saying, this is the standard.
Gotcha.
They do no market research. Now, at the same time, you may not be outfitted to handle 100 franchises in different parts of the nation. That doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, they partnered with JRA at one point, and because that's how bad they are, right? They're a marketing. They're a franchisor that hired a junk removal marketing company, and JRA. The first thing you see on their website is this is why you don't need to become a franchise. This is why you don't need to buy a franchise. Like they're the
franchise
unfranchised
alternative
model. Yeah, franchise alternative. There you go. And I'm not, again, we had Lee on the show. Some people are like, are you guys affiliated with JRA? No, we're not. I got no beef with Lee. I think he's a pretty decent guy, and he built a good business. And they do consulting, like Casey and I both do consulting. They offered the full package. I thought the conference was good. I'm glad they put it on. I'm not
a great networking event.
It was a great networking event. I don't. Yeah, it was huge. They let me speak. It all worked out. But so I'm not going to get into the pissing match, but junk removal is a small space, and when you piss off a lot of people, the other thing is here's a proof, case in point. There was nobody from that franchise at that conference, so that should tell you something.
Franchisee or so
not franchisee or at a conference that is the junk removal conference. I think JRA. I don't know any other junk removal conferences. And other franchisees were there, right? There was a College Hunks, there was a Junk Genius. There's other franchisees that were there. Genius. Yeah. Junk Genius, right? And yeah. So whatever. So it's like, okay, that tells you something. And it's just a very, very toxic organization. Our very first podcast was "This is why you shouldn't join a franchise."
Really?
Yeah, that was our first episode. Yeah. Well, I don't give a shit. That's it. I mean,
are you looking to franchise your current junk removal company at some point?
No, because
going to keep it.
No, I like the business I have. It's been good. I recently named Ken our general manager, the president, so he's going to be taking over the business in the next year, which allows me to focus on. I wrote a book. I'm going to focus on keynote speaking and consulting and all this other fun stuff. I still own it. I mean, my office. I mean, I can hear the guys literally on the other side of the wall talking, so it's not like I'm getting too far away from it. But I also believe firmly that independent owner operators, especially from a marketing standpoint, got to let their brand shine.
100%.
That's it. So I'm not going to say one thing and then do another. And that was, and this was, the last year or so since I took over this business, those were considerations. What does this look like? Is this multiple locations? Is this a satellite location?
Well,
is this
both talked about the possibility of franchising, and we're just like, we talked about it.
Is Camel Crew is set up to be franchised, right? Everything, brand standards, repeatable processes, KPIs, SOPs, all that other shit. But I built it for us. And if someone wants to take all the shit that I built and slap a new fucking logo on it, God bless. Plus, I'm not going to lie to people and tell them I'm a fucking marketing genius.
Yeah.
Right? That ain't on me. Right? We have our brand. We're happy with it. And we're running. And I like running junk removal. I'm not interested in running other people's junk removal companies or running their marketing or convincing them that I know how to fucking run their business better than they do. And those aren't my people. Like those, like I want to lead leaders. And Casey and I both I meet people now. They're like, oh, I wish I would never bought a J-Dog franchise, and they fucked me over, and I pissed away all this money. And it's like, hey man, like you're preaching the choir. Myself and Casey both made that decision. Like, first off, don't beat yourself up, right? Because I was in the same spot you were at one point, and then over time I realized that there was nothing special they were doing. So why piss away the money and sign their life away like you even talked about, right? You are on a month to month. When you sign a 15-year franchise, that is a fucking cloud that follows you until you spend lots of money on lawyers to make it go away.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's my fucking soapbox.
I don't talk to a lot of owners that want to franchise. I've talked to a lot of junk removal owners that want to open in new markets or
satellite locations.
Or markets.
That's I think that works. I think it works better in my personal opinion. I think that's a better option. And the reason why it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to, because there's two reasons to do the franchise. One, you think your company is ready. Like, hey, I've been doing great for 2 years. I'm ready to franchise it. So you don't know what you don't know. There's a lot that goes into franchising than just, hey, my company's doing good. The other reason is I don't want to be in junk removal forever. So why are you going to franchise it? Because that means you're stamping your time in junk removal.
You're stuck in it.
Dude, that's the thing. Like even now, it's like I named Ken the president. I fucking love junk removal. Like I'll go downstairs. We got a warehouse. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to see what's going on. I'm going to talk to the guys. I'm going to occasionally bang a job. I'll
break some scrap
every now and then. I'll fucking definitely go scrapping, right? Saturday afternoon. It sounds like a good time. But it's like that I love it. I see a lot of people that get into junk removal. They're like, oh, low barrier to entry. It's quick and easy money, and I'm just going to turn it. And like I remember this guy. There was a guy out in Oregon, Washington. not a veteran, bought a franchise. He's like, dude, I'm just going to turn this thing and churn it. I'm going to make all this money. Washington, you know what I'm talking about. Good dude. I like the fucking dude. But he's like, dude, this is so easy. You just fucking show up, get your truck, couple yard signs, no big deal, and you start printing money. Well, he was never in love with junk removal, and now 3 years later, he's completely out of it, right? And he was all in, and he was like grown-ass man with business experience. But if you don't love the craft, don't get the fuck in it, right?
Well, I think his second year, he started doing landscaping too.
Well, correct, but it doesn't matter. But the point is, like, in this space in junk removal, if you're in it just to make a buck, hey, baby, easy come, easy go. And as the economy starts to taper off, new home sales and everything else is tapering off. Like the people that got in the last 3 or 4 years when it was simpler, easier, low hanging fruit, where the fuck were you? They're gonna be gone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited the next 6 to 8, 12 months because the real players are gonna still be here.
It's big right now. There's a lot of them opening up. We get a lot of people that are coming to us from courses and things asking us to do their marketing because it does seem so obtainable. I do have a question about, do you guys do any like resale? I feel like that would be a huge market with junk removal.
Well, Andy and I both have our
ass.
stands on that.
Consuming.
Yeah.
I am curious though, because I'm a big thrifter and I love antique shopping.
Move to Milwaukee. And
can I come to the warehouse?
Here's the deal. I tell people every time. Anytime I do a tour, I got like 30 realtors coming on Wednesday for a luncheon tour. I tell them all, they're like, "Oh, can I have this? I can have that." I'm like, pull up to the door and take where the fuck you want. I don't care.
Yeah. I will do that.
Dude,
I'm furnishing my apartment.
You are welcome to Milwaukee anytime. But here's why. I had a resale shop. It took up 50% of my energy and my frustrations and accounted for about 4% of my revenue.
Okay.
It was also, and also, so both of us had our moms pretty much running that aspect of the business.
True. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's not scalable.
Ain't no shame in that.
And
no.
The only reason we were able to
retired.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, mine did too. And the only reason we were to scale it, like we kept it going because we actually hired an auction company and they came in and they would take 30%, which was fine because that means we didn't even have to touch it more than once. But it made sense because we had the space at the time.
Yep.
We grew into it. A lot of people are like, oh, so let me just go get a warehouse and start reselling. Well, no, don't do that. I'm not saying to do that.
Nope.
But when you get to a certain point in this industry, you're going to find that a lot of stuff you have, most of the stuff you have, there's a market for it. Someone will pay $1 or $3 or $5 for it.
And especially with marketplace, like I'm wondering, would it even be beneficial to hire like a college intern to come and list things on marketplace?
I have done that. I've had 20 people in the last 7 years come through and do it. And if I walk downstairs right now, there's one guy left.
Yeah.
And he does a 50-50 cut, and he takes the 1% of 1%, and he's pretty much really looking for old electronics and video games and like signage. It's not worth it. Here's why. Here's the hillbilly math. I got my warehouse is 27,000 square feet. I got 3,000 square feet I dedicated to resale. And I moved around the building, whatever. 3,000 square feet. Most people don't even have 3,000 square feet for their whole shop, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So I had 3,000 square feet. I had my sale every other Saturday, whatever. You go over to Habitat for Humanity, which is 2 fucking miles from me. They got 30,000 square feet. They're open 7 days a week. They got 50 fucking employees. And all I have to do is pull up to their dock and unload it and pull away. That sounds better. I'll take option
money,
B.
effort.
I get that.
Time, money, effort. So here's the deal, Demi. You want to come up? Actually, this is not just for Demi and all of our listeners. I've had, I don't know, probably 8. I think I counted at one point. It's like 85 different people. It's got to be over 100 now. Junk removal employees, owners, operators, franchisees come up to the building. Hell, Casey was one of them. Casey was, one of the first, but he came up here to see how we were doing things. And I went down by Casey, right? So it's a two-way street. And I went down.
Also gave him some badass carts from Amazon.
Dude, you did. Casey did. He drove up here to hang out with me because that's how awesome I am. But no, so here's the deal. Demi, even our listeners, if you hit me up, I will host you. You get your ass up here, right? And I will show you our warehouse. I will give you a tour of what could be. Because this was not I fucking walked into a warehouse. No, this was, I'm on my 14th year of doing junk removal.
A lot of work, too, you had to put in that place.
Right. January of 2009, I started driving around the north side of Milwaukee to fucking alleys, picking up scrap and trash on the side of the road, right? So I've been in this hustle for a minute. We've been in this warehouse the last 5 years, but it took, this is 14 years of culmination, and it's still evolving. We're actually, we're ripping down our rage room this next month. So we had a rage room for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
It closed. I closed it 6 months ago. No one's interested in buying it. The lumber's probably worth more than the fucking business. So
Gotcha.
I'm ripping that down because the 2,500 square feet is worth more to me than the lumber on the walls. So
I've had people ask about that too. Right?
Yeah, it was interesting.
I think it was a fad.
I made a couple bucks doing it. It was a fad.
Yeah.
And I made a couple bucks doing it. I didn't lose money, but I didn't gain. I didn't become a better person. I didn't make the world a better place. And I wasn't in love with it. It's kind of like Homeboy. I like that. I won't mention his name. Good fucking dude. But if you're not in love with what you do, like, and that's one of the questions I asked you, Demi, like, how did you get into this shit? Because you're just like, oh, well, I'm really good at selling stuff, and I want to fucking buy nice things for my apartment and travel. I'll be like, all right, this fucking chick, right? Like, and I don't know that. I figured that wasn't the answer because I met you in real life, and like, you're genuinely passionate. Like, you have a glow about you when you're talking marketing. Like, I hear marketing, and like, even when we were hanging out, the three of us, I didn't do a lot of the hanging out. So I'm like, I don't want to fucking talk about marketing. I don't give a fuck. Like, let's talk about barbecue. Let's talk about scrap. Let's talk about something sexy. Marketing to me ain't sexy. Right. And between Casey and I, like, Casey's a hell of a lot more interested in marketing. So that's my step off. We'll wrap this show here of, takeaways. My takeaway is you've got to be in love with what you do. Right? We talk a lot about marketing, and when you're in love with what you do, it just oozes. It oozes in your personal branding. It oozes in your marketing. It oozes when you go out in front of people and you start selling. It fucking oozes. So get out and be in love with what you got. Casey, let's hear about it. What's your takeaway from today?
Well, I got a lot more clarity. I got a lot more clarity on the online presence when it comes to marketing.
Fucking word.
And I'm gonna tell you now, for me, I by any means am I not a complete expert in junk removal. There's so much I haven't done or achieved, so much I have left to learn. But I'll tell you what I did learn was very trial and error. So I think in any business, you have to question any decision you make that you're not comfortable with, because if you don't, then you can get taken advantage of. And I think, before we had this conversation, it has always seemed to me that the independent people that do what you do, get away with whatever because you don't understand what they're doing. So they can look at a customer like, hey, I don't care if it's a one-off. Give me your money now. I'll just get another one of you tomorrow. But I think now it kind of shows me there is a difference when you talk to other companies. Hey, are you independent? Do you work out of your apartment? Or are you part of a team, an actual reputable brand that helps other brands? Right. So that's what I got from this conversation. Also, I am also wearing camo pants, Andy. Just want to let you know.
Dude, oh my God. Dude.
I should have worn mine. I didn't even think about it.
I don't fuck around. I always wear, there you go. I always wear camo pants. Were those the shoes you wore when we did the McDonald's project? Those fucking, they're shoes. They're like actual shoes. Yeah. Camo shoes. All right. Demi, top takeaways.
Yeah, I think that it was important for you guys to give me that information on like questions that other business owners have in the space. It's always really interesting to see the questions that you have and what you know about marketing and your standpoint on, like Casey was saying, working with independent industries or independent companies that are maybe a one-man show. Hopefully I was able to provide some insight. I know that marketing has a ton of layers, so there's a lot of stuff that we could dive into deeper and a lot of things that make more sense, but just understanding my audience and knowing how to help these smaller businesses is, like you said, Andy, what I'm passionate about, and I hope that I could provide some insight.
I like it. Passion, clarity, love, all the good things we talk about here on the Trash Talk Business Podcast. Who knew that, right? We start the top of the hour talking trash, and we leave with love, clarity, and passion. That's right. We do junk just a little bit different, because it's all about breathing life into the people, the products, and the places we interact with every day, so that we can build our junk removal dream and live the life we want to live. As always, I'm Andy Weins, joined by Casey Bubba Lawrence. Demi, thank you so much for being a guest on the Trash Talk Business Podcast. We're going to see you next week.
Thanks.